Hey everybody, and welcome to the Multiverse Show, the greatest show on Mondays. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a slammed night tonight, all planned and ready to roll for you guys. Really, it's going to be a great show. We have a lot of things on the docket to discuss this evening. But first off, we have to do our introductions. I would say we have the Titan of Texas here himself, but he is actually not here tonight. He is actually in the hospital right now, fighting against the Rona, the deadly COVID-19. Hopefully we'll see a return for him in the near future. But also we have our one true Caesar of Cinema, Mr. James Wilson.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everybody here. That was me. I'm out. I'm back. I'm back from Australia, and I'm now in beautiful Rochester, Kent, which sounds much nicer than it actually is. But it is where Dickens was lived most of his life. So there you go. Consider yourself at home.
All right, and we have the Chief of Achievements himself, Mr. Undead 3XVI.
What's going on? Glad to be here. Not dying as much as I was last week, so cheers to that.
Yep. And we have the Dawn of Deletion himself finally coming back, gracing us with his presence, Mr. Mike P. Truth.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Great to be back. Got a great show planned as always. Let's get it started.
All right. And we also have the White Wolf, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. Rough as things are, there's nothing we love to do more than go over the news and make you all laugh. Mostly while arguing with each other. So.
And we have our multiverse corpsman himself, the Lord of Lightning, Mr. Demigod.
What's going on? What's going on? Glad to be here.
All right, and we also have someone who actually, I believe you were on a long time ago, Brandon, a.k.a. Halo to the King.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be on here. Actually, I have not been on this as far as I can remember, but yeah, glad to be here. Let's get it started.
I feel like I know we played a lot of Payday in the past when you were Napkin. But
yeah,
but all this stuff blends together at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, and we have our guest for the evening, the Ashen Luca. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello, thanks for having me.
All right, so we're gonna get things started. First off on the docket, as we ask every single week, what have you guys been playing, Luca? What have you been playing?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. All right.
Yeah, it's the only thing I play.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yep.
No wonder you're in front of the Iron Lords. All right. So, Brandon, sir, what have you been playing lately?
I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3. I've been playing Animal Crossing, and I just picked up Control, so I'm going to start that soon.
Oh, nice. Demi?
I've been diamond chasing on Overwatch, finishing up Yakuza 0 on Xbox, and I've been playing Doom Eternal, ripping and tearing my way through everything.
Nice. And actually, speaking of Doom Eternal, Nick, I believe you wrote a review for Doom Eternal. Can you give us a quick little 30-second blip it on that?
It's better than porn. I kicked my crypto addiction through playing Doom Eternal, so that's all you need to know, really.
All right. And Sam, sir?
Yeah, so I've actually been playing a lot of Doom Eternal as well. I haven't quite beaten it yet. I'm on the last couple of missions. I think I have a couple of hours to go. I've been trying to find most of the collectibles, really taking my time, doing the Slayer gates. It's a lot of fun. Other people have talked about it at length, so I won't wax on about it too much, but it's absolutely fantastic. I really love Doom Eternal. The other major thing I've been playing is Resident Evil 3 Remake. I beat it on normal, and I'm about to beat it on hardcore again a second time. And I'm looking forward to going through a nightmare after that. So it's really, really good. I realize, I don't know if you want us to talk about a little bit about that more later in the topics, Ivan, so I might not go too far into it. But I think if people really enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake, they're going to enjoy this one as well, all things considered.
All right. And Mike?
I've been playing a little bit of 2K20, a little bit of Modern Warfare, a little bit of Doom Eternal, but it's all about Resident Evil 3 this week, baby. Comes out Friday. Can't wait. It's my most anticipated game of the year. Really looking forward to diving into that at the end of the week.
All right. And let's see, who else did I miss? James, did you get a chance to play anything?
Amazingly, I have played a video game. And my finger on the pulse as always. I've been playing whenever the hell it came out, Middle-earth: Shadow of War, the sequel.
Nice.
I mean,
Excuse me, sorry.
there's a lot to do in that game, and I'm not sure all of it's good or necessary. Because I've been playing for like not a solid, but like the games I've been playing for about 15, 20 hours, and I'm still getting tutorials on new things. I just think, oh, really? We're still doing new things? But I am enjoying it. I love Shadow of Mordor, so hopefully I can get into the swing of things and not feel like I have to go through 20 more tutorial missions.
Yeah, all right.
But the usual mix of Apex, Overwatch, and FIFA on the background.
All right. So quite a bit, man. We're on the threshold now for games coming out. I know personally, I've been playing a lot of Doom Eternal. I have a real big blast with that game. But I've actually gone back to playing Payday 2 over the last little bit, for various reasons. Honestly, just I got in the kick to play it again, and it's been a fun time to go back to. Yeah, I mean that's about it on my end. But we have to pay the bills here. Sam, time for our corporate shill segment of the week. Who's paying the bills this week?
This week, it's none other than the Costanza Slayer. Now, you might be thinking, what in the blazes is that? And you'd have a very good point, if I'm being perfectly honest. But 2020 keeps on managing to get crazier and crazier. And every time you say, how could it get worse? It gets worse. So, introducing the Doomslayer's unfortunate new companion, the Costanza Slayer, known as George Costanza, once helped manage the New York Yankees. He's a complete failure of a human being, and now he wields the godlike crucible held by the Night Sentinels to batter back the hordes of hell. He's looking out for us, but I'm not sure that's a good thing.
But the most important question, Sam,
Yes.
is he the master of his domain?
With wielding that, I certainly hope so.
Man, when you told me this is who's paying the bills this week, I was surprised. I was like, hey, further down the rabbit hole, and how low will the Multiverse Show go for money?
Do not question how far we'll go.
All right, so we got to get things started. But first, we had something serious that actually did happen, as we kind of mentioned before. Pretty much the only thing that's been going on in the news has been the coronavirus, the COVID-19 situation, shutting things down, ruining March for most people, and it's not been very nice, to put it bluntly. I know some of us have actually come down with it. And the latest person who's actually been afflicted by it has been Fame. Fame has been a longtime friend of mine. He's co-founder of the show itself. It's been a very rough time. I've been doing a lot of prayer for him. It's been a time, so we kind of wanted to do a segment for Fame. I don't know if he's going to be in the chat just yet, or he's still in the hospital currently. But whenever he does get a chance to see this, he'll get to see the glorious Pray for Fame segment. So, Fame, wanted to do something a little special for you. We wanted to kick you while you're down. So, all right, let's kick this off. Anyone else want to go first before we go into him?
Oh, I'll go first.
Oh, please do.
So, Fame, we're all hoping, praying you get through this, and hopefully your immune system is stronger than your hairline, brother.
All right. Anyone else want to go next? Gotta get composure here.
I can go. I hope Fame can get better and rest up soon, so that him and Nicodemus can stop ducking me and Kid Smooth in Halo for the past 4 years.
Oh my God. All right.
I'll go. You know, Fame, I'm praying that you get better, brother, and you make through. But my God, if I got to hear you talk about Dauntless one more time, I might just leave the show myself. God.
All right. Anyone else?
You know what? Sure. All right, I'll go. Fame, really, brother, we love you. Keep on fighting. We're praying for you. You got this, man. You're going to get through it. It's going to be all right. And unfortunately, I had the revelation just this morning. Really bad timing. The only thing worse than Horizon Zero Dawn is hearing you talk about it.
Man,
So-
went after what I was going to do, man.
Dang it, that's what I was going to say.
That's what I was going to say, damn it.
But I went first.
Man. I got to come up with another one. All right, who wants to go next? I gotta think of a better one now.
Oh,
I have to think of one too, damn it.
Me too.
Luca?
You know, shout out to my brother Fame, one of my favorite Xbox fanboys. I really hope that you get better soon. I need your take on it. I need to see your damage controlling because I miss it, bro. So.
Aww. Wholesome.
Yeah. All right.
Oh man. It's trying to find the right wording. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about, but I need to get the lead.
You know, somebody to take his place at the bottom of the leaderboards. Say that too.
What was it? Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I truly believe that hearing you talk about how great Hellblade is, but only if you have headphones, compared to the only time that we all agreed on a game, that's a great memory. Like, even when we're all in complete agreement, you still need to be right.
That's good.
Fame, I don't know what I'm gonna do if you're gone, man. I can't have you leaving me by myself. I mean, who else is gonna steal my kills and mooch off my health as Moira in Overwatch?
It's true.
That was strong.
It's true.
Fame,
Yeah.
I love you, man. You're going to pull through this. I know that you always say Aloy is bae. Unfortunately, I don't believe she's your nurse. But I hope you pull through this.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's getting without Fame being around, it's getting pretty lonely for Ivan to be in my backpack in multiplayer games.
And I ain't gonna lie about that. Yeah, that's about true. All right. Anyone else want to go before we get moving on to the topics here?
I'm good.
No, I think he is well prayed for. He's well prayed for, and he's well roasted. So he's firm, but he has a little give left. I think that's good.
I need to see him back here next week to defend himself. The gauntlet has been laid down, Mr. Fame Entertainment. I better see you back here next week. But all right. So, topics. We are a little bit behind. A lot of stuff happened. Mostly games, which has been good. We finally got a PlayStation 5 announcement. As you guys know, we've been doing the PlayStation 5 watch for basically all this year, looking for anything that was going to come out. We got suckered in with that PlayStation 5 logo, and we finally got some real hardcore data last week. We didn't get around to talk about it for various reasons, but here we are. So, all right. Good stuff to talk about. Before we jump into that real quick, I know we did talk about a couple games that did come out. Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing. I know we got Resident Evil. It's coming out later this week. We'll talk about that next week. I know that James and Sam and Mike have a chance to actually play it and give us some feedback on that. So those are the resident voting block and the Game of the Year segment for Resident Evil. But anyway, beyond that, we're just briefly kind of want to touch on stuff. Who got in the group here? Who got a chance to play Doom Eternal?
I did.
I did.
I know I did. But all right. Overall thoughts. Just if you could summarize it briefly, like in maybe a sentence or two. What's your one takeaway about Doom Eternal?
Fantastic. Like everything I could possibly want in a Doom game. Well, there's a couple things obviously they could have added, but overall I had high expectations and they were not only met but exceeded. It was a very, very good game.
All right. Demi, get a chance to play?
Yes, I did. Doom Eternal feels like what I envisioned crack would feel like. That's my takeaway from it. Literally.
Crap? Or crack?
Yes, crack. Crack. That Doom Eternal feels like crack.
I was like, that's disrespectful.
No, it's a great thing. This is what I feel like the first hit of crack in your life will feel like.
I'm still hearing crap, man.
I will say for me, it's where everyone talked about like last time with Doom 2016, where it was like, oh, it's a ballet. This is like a choreographed dance number where you actually have to do certain things, but it's very freeform. And where Doom 2016 was, it wants you to play, but also you have the freedom of how you want to go about it necessarily and how you want to engage. This one is like, nah, you're gonna play by our rules this time. And it's an absolute blast, especially when your brain clicks and like a room you've been struggling on suddenly just becomes a breeze, and it's amazing. I love it at that point.
How's the platforming?
It was interesting. I didn't watch any pre-stuff to it. I didn't watch any of it. So I just went into it blind and was not expecting a lot of the platforming, but it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
See, that's the only thing I don't like about it so far is the platform. I don't think the controls lend themselves well to platforming. But I mean, other than that, the game is great. The combat is fantastic. That's what keeps coming back.
All right.
All I've seen of the platforming is that it furthers my belief that Doom Guy is just Link from the future.
I have my ultimate Bethesda theory that Doom Guy is just BJ Blazkowicz.
Aren't they related?
I don't know. I never paid attention that much.
I always thought he was like a great grandson of
They're from the
Blazkowicz
same
or something.
bloodline.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bethesda basically came out and confirmed that there is like a correlation between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's very subtle, but if you look and if you like get them written down, BJ and DG are both letters in the alphabet. So
That's
pretty conclusive
That's
stuff.
crazy.
Can I add one more thing? The
I don't know what you would need to add, but sure.
No, about Doom Eternal. The super shoddy master upgrade is like the greatest thing on earth.
Oh yeah.
The hook pool.
Scorpion attachment is what it's called.
Yes.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah, being able to meat hook and spin around people and set them on fire is probably one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, man, it's a blast. I love that. All right, so real quick, anybody can just play Animal Crossing at all?
Yep.
Why not?
I feel like I've played it because like so many of my friends are playing it on Twitter.
I know I've been watching Dollface play it, and oh my gosh, I didn't realize how how addictive that game is to people. I think it might just be because of the situation going on where everyone's stuck inside and now everybody wants to role play going outside and gardening. And so it's like, oh, that's interesting.
It's one of those games where it's like it always gives you something to do. Where it's like the carrot on the stick thing. It's like, okay, you do this, and then tomorrow you look forward to doing this, and tomorrow you look forward to doing this. So that's where the addiction of it sets in.
See, Animal Crossing is like Demi compared Doom Eternal the first time doing crack. Animal Crossing is actual crack.
I'm glad to see crack as a part of the show today. Glad to see it.
All right. Anything else about Animal Crossing before we start moving into the main topics?
I don't.
Yes,
It's not for me. Go ahead.
The remix of the Dodo Airlines fanfare, the hip hop remix, is one of the most fire things I've listened to all year.
I need to listen to this now. I didn't even know
it was put up on YouTube. It's not official, but like some dude made a remix of the Dodo Airlines da 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 da, like to and just put a hip hop beat underneath, and it is cool as hell. I'll put it in the chat and find it. It is amazing.
Oh, looks like someone's calling you out in the chat, by the way, James.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello there, Danielle.
All right. So, moving into the main topic. So, last week we got actually the real tech breakdown for the PlayStation 5. There's some pretty cool stuff involved there. Really, it's been a very interesting time. At least in terms of the strategy overall, which was slightly different. I mean, looking back on it now, it wasn't drastically different, at least opposed to 2013, where we're still getting a lot of announcements fairly early on in the year, let alone we're getting like spec breakdowns, which is pretty different. But we're still getting things fairly early on. Xbox went first with the Series X announcement / reveal. We got a tech breakdown. Then just a couple days later, we got the PlayStation breakdown itself. But it was a very interesting time. We got the hard specs on pretty much everything. Sam, I understand there's a bit of nuance to this, and as you're kind of our local tech wizard here, can you kind of break down a little bit to us, at least in terms of the power breakdown?
Yeah. Actually, do you mind if I start off with the back compat thing?
Sure,
since that
please
was since that was cleared up, and I saw there was a lot of back and forth, and in Sony's developer presentation that was advertised as a full presentation, they really didn't do a good job of explaining this at all. And then PlayStation blog just doubled down on it. So a couple days later, they had to issue a correction. The nutshell version is they're testing thousands of games. They want every PS4 game to be compatible. There just may be a few that slip through the crack. That's what it ends up being. But by and large, your collection should be safe. Mm-hmm. There's that. But in terms of the raw technical specs, Sony really went for the SSD this time around. That is what... You know how an A10 is sometimes jokingly referred to as a plane built around a gun? Jokingly, I would say the PS5 is a console built around an SSD. The same analogy works. The fact of the matter is, it's ludicrous speed, something you can't buy for your PC today, around 5.5 gigs of memory per second that the SSD can process, which, to put it in other terms, the hard drive in your console right now can do about 10 megabit per second. So it's ludicrously fast, way faster, in combination with the Series X having a great SSD as well. It's going to change the way games are made, which is really cool. But that's obviously where the focus was. It has a 4K Blu-ray drive. We knew about that. And then it has a GPU that taps out around 10.28 teraflops. And then, that word, teraflop. And then the CPU taps out around 3.5 gigahertz. Both of them are based on AMD's SmartShift mobile technology, which means they can fluctuate as needed. Those are their peak theoretical specs. They're not actually what it'll be at 100% of the time. It's what they're trying to be at, but if the GPU is operating at full power, the CPU probably won't, and vice versa. I'm curious how developers are going to plan around that. It is a little bit lower than the Series X on paper, but the result is that we've got two great consoles on the market. Or will have them, rather.
My very limited experience in this, but it seems like the gap between the PS4 and the Xbox One wasn't as different as people like to think. But the gap between the consoles in terms of what they can do seems much different now, in very good ways for both sides. Would I be correct in saying that?
You would, James. You would. Both of them have the same architecture, right? Both of them have the same RDNA 2. Zen 2 CPUs, it's the same core tech. They've just chosen to enhance different aspects. Microsoft went for a ludicrous GPU and CPU, ludicrous tech to put in a console with a ridiculous amount of power, with the GPU hitting 12 teraflops and the CPU hitting 3.8 gigahertz. That's ridiculous. That's amazing. And then Sony went for a ludicrously fast SSD, the likes of which had never even been dreamed of, even on PC right now. To the point that Sony has actually said that while they'll eventually allow you to replace the SSD and, with your own expandable storage, there's no SSD on the market right now that'll work. That's going to be a much, much longer term, way down the line type thing.
And so, like the raw power of the CPU and GPU, I believe, is what you said. What will that do for an Xbox gamer for, let's say, the next Call of Duty?
Okay,
How does that differentiate between
practically speaking, what it means is,
or at least based on the knowledge you have right
now. Sure. I mean, there's so many things we don't know. Again, I emphasize that this leap in CPU and SSD tech is going to change the way games are made because it changes how data is even. But a good example would be, for example, the graphics on Call of Duty. They might be able to add some ray traced elements that they can't on the PS5. They might be able to add them into the Series X version, or they might be able to do native 4K, 120 frames per second. They might push for something crazy like that, but the frame rate wouldn't quite be as perfect on the PS5. Like, it would be a 4K, 120 frames per second, but maybe it's a dynamic 4K, or maybe there's a couple of frame rate drops here or there. But at the same time, it means the game on PS5 is going to load faster than the game on Series. That's how.
See, this is the thing that because load times are famously a thing that can annoy any gamer of any single kind, and if you plan to maybe not eliminate but massively reduce, to me that sounds like a very pro gamer choice. And the fact that I'm seeing people on Twitter, maybe it's just the specific people I'm following, Fame included in this, going, "Oh, it's Xbox all the way." The elimination of load time seems like a way more popular thing. No, maybe I'm crazy here.
I feel
like it's the same kind of thing as, like, remember, like, all this generation we've been saying we want better frame rate, but no one listens, and everyone's only been doing resolution. There's been a handful of games like, okay, yeah, we'll do 60 frames per second, sure, yeah, whatever, cool. But it's largely been the focus on resolution as opposed to it. Where, yeah, frame rate is the one thing everybody wants. It would be the pro gamer choice, but I think it's more marketing stuff. I think it's more in terms of, like, what they think people can actually be interested in.
Right, and on top of that, if you don't mind me sort of jumping back in, Ivan, the thing you got to keep in mind is, James, the Series X also has a very fast SSD in it. It's not like they're sticking with standard hard drives. So you're still going to see a massive reduction in load times. They used an example of State of Decay 2, which goes from loading, over a minute, takes over a minute on the Xbox One, to about 8 seconds on the Series X.
Wow.
So, that's one thing to keep in mind when you see that, is it's not like they don't have an SSD. Sony just went not only to the highest level, they leaped clear off the highest level in terms of getting the I/O throughput, which is a fancy way of saying the speed.
I'm just excited about the promise of quicker patch updates.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I mean, in terms of actually installing them, not the download speed. It's not going to help you with the download speed, but in terms of actually installing them. Ivan actually put a funny thing out on Twitter where he said it's like a comparison between Superman and The Flash, and I think that's actually a good, if reductive, funny way of putting it.
Yeah. For non-nerds, that means, oh yeah, Flash is faster than Superman, but not like leagues faster. But that's the one thing it's going to be better at than anything else. But anyway, that's one particular topic. So just real quick, I kind of want to get a general impression, because the people that are on this panel today these are the group of people who are actually looking and are the core gaming audience here, that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and all that kind of stuff is designed to attract. And I want to get a wider group of people than we normally have on the show to try to get an idea of where people fall on this. So briefly, for the rest of the group of people here, where do you kind of side on this? Are you definitely buying a PlayStation 5 day one, or like, do you have any reservations? Just what are your general thoughts? Let's start with Nick. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'm day one on both. I've been like, the only reason I wasn't day one on Xbox One and PS4 was because of financial reasons. Like, I've seen interest in both because they have interesting software on both sides that I want to play, and they're doing a bunch of technical stuff, including things like load times with SSDs, and it's just exciting stuff. I don't know. I don't get caught up on the technical details. Like, I'm not going to sit there and only buy a Series X because it's got more power, and I'm not going to sit there and only buy a PS5 because it's got faster SSD. Like, realistically, I'm buying a Series X for, games like Halo Infinite, the follow-up to State of Decay, the IPs I'm interested in, and I'm buying a PlayStation 5 because I need that God of War sequel at some point. And that's just how I buy consoles. I've never bought it around the tech inside it. If I wanted to get all into tech and everything else, I'd buy and build a PC.
All right. Luca, what are your thoughts?
So, Mark Cerny is a very intelligent guy, probably smarter than everyone on this panel, including me. And I was well aware of what the presentation was going to be like based off the fact that it was Mark Cerny giving it. That being said, I think that they made some missteps in regards to showcasing their technology because they didn't really show anything. And I think it was very dry and very technical, which is Mark Cerny's way. And I think it put a lot of people off and killed a lot of hype. And, for me personally, we still don't know what the PlayStation 5 looks like, nor do we know the price. And we haven't seen the games that are going to come out or anything like that, which is fine on the games front. It's just kind of like an I don't know for me. I think I'll just wait in regards to the PlayStation 5 until they have something I really want to play. Because as it stands right now, it's Xbox all the way, baby. Okay, Team Xbox for life. That's what I'm saying, all right? So, I might pick up the Series X day one, depending on the price as well. So.
All right, Sam?
I'll have to get both at launch due to my job. So for coverage purposes, I'm going to be forced to. If I did not have to do that, I would probably get the Series X at launch and then wait about 6 to 12 months for the PS5. I'm sure I'll want a PS5 when the big games start hitting, but just call it a hunch. I have a feeling the bigger games aren't going to start arriving for some time, and the launch lineup may not be 100% incredible, so to speak. We still only, we only know Godfall, and granted, we only know Halo Infinite for Xbox, but of the two of those, one of them is hopefully going to be, a great Halo game. Godfall is, I'm skeptical, to say the least. But that's if I had the luxury of not waiting. I don't have that luxury, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike?
I think for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as what Luke is in. I'm going to go with the Xbox Series X at launch. There's a couple reasons for that. One of them is the backwards compatibility. You basically already know that it's going to work with everything Xbox One. So when you move from the Xbox One X to the Series X, it's like you're really not losing anything in your backlog there as far as your game. And I think that's something that's more important earlier in a new generation when you're still waiting for these big games to drop, and it's going to make those Xbox One games better. I am going to get a PS5 eventually, probably when the new God of War and the new Gran Turismo come out. But I'll definitely be on the Series X at launch, man. I got a lot invested in the Xbox platform. I like what Microsoft has shown so far. They're being very open and transparent. It seems like they're in touch with the audience way more than they were in 2013. So I'll be going with the Xbox at launch, man.
All right, James?
Undecided. I've said before, months and months ago, that I was undecided as to which way I was leaning for the new generation. I only have a PS4 because it had games I wanted to play when I was looking to buy a console, and I had a 360 the generation before that, and And I'm not. It wasn't like I'm going to get this and not going to get the other one. I just don't really have the finances to get a bunch of consoles. But like, it's weird because I'm probably going to wait to get Cyberpunk on a next gen console. I don't know. I'm really undecided because I can see the value in both of them, especially having Game Pass as the ace in the hole for Xbox. For me, that is the thing that will sell those consoles. But yeah, thoroughly undecided.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
All right. Brandon?
I'm kind of waiting until we see what the full launch lineup for both of the systems looks like before I mean, chances are I'll probably end up getting them both right off the bat, but I think I'm gonna wait and kind of see. Like, we know what, at least a couple games from each, but I know like in the long run I'm gonna have both. But as far as like launch, I'm just gonna wait and see which one has the better lineup.
Yeah. All right, fair. Demi?
I'm getting both, and I'm not gonna miss either one because I want the games for both. And yeah, tell myself I wasn't missing any more consoles now that I'm getting older and I can afford both of them. So yeah. I would not miss.
Fair. I know personally, I mean, what was it? I think it was Sam who mentioned it first. For me, I'm probably gonna go with the Series X first. I didn't realize this before, but I'm definitely spoiled when it comes to the graphics thing. I used to think like, I don't really care if it doesn't look the best. I don't really care. I mean, the getting the Xbox One X basically spurred me into getting the PlayStation 4 Pro, where it was like, I can't stand the difference in how this looks. I literally gut decision went out. I was like, I just plugged up my PlayStation 4 to my 4K TV, and I was like, I can't stand this. I'm out. I took it, sold it, bought the PlayStation 4 Pro, and came right back. I was like, yep, all right, this is okay. This is better. For me, it spurred it. I'm going to go with the Series X first because I realized, too, I personally don't have as wide of a gaming palette as I used to. I tried things. I found out what I don't like. I found what I do like. I try to give everything a chance this generation. I don't need having to have two systems immediately. I'm going to do what I did this generation, which was get the Xbox, because that's where my friends are, that's where my ecosystem is, that's what I bought into first. Wait a little bit, maybe a year or two down the line, then jump on and buy a PlayStation 5. Play whatever games that come out in a 2-year span at a very cheap price, and then hold on to it to the end of the generation. I've been happy with that. I'm going to do it again. So, that's me personally.
I think James had a really good point. I think you hit the nail on the head, James, when you talk about the Game Pass factor, because when you think about a new console launch, it's like, it's not just a console, but you're going to invest in games for it. And the one thing that Xbox has with the Series X is, of course, like if you want to play sports titles or Call of Duty, that stuff you have to buy. But with Game Pass, Halo Infinite, pretty much guaranteed there's going to be a Forza, whatever other games they release at launch for it. It's like, you could just get the console and then take it home and load it up with games if you're on Game Pass, which I think is a huge advantage that they really should try to lean into that in the marketing for it.
All right. So yeah,
I think if they do announce the backwards compatibility thing for PlayStation, which seems like if they don't do that, they will sign their own death warrant. Then that means if everyone has their PlayStation Plus library immediately as they boot up, and so you finally get a chance to play some of those indies that you might not have played. It's nowhere near comparison to the Xbox Game Pass, but it is something that PlayStation can have as an extra card to play. It's going to be a very interesting time, and especially with all of what's going on with the coronavirus. Who knows, man? So it's a weird time. I'll pop in with some film news, some breaking film news.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing has happened. Carry on.
Yeah. Well,
And
unless you count
actually,
other people getting the virus, I mean, that's kind of news.
I actually wanted to ask you one thing, James. What do you think is going to happen to the film industry as a result of everything going on here?
Well, weirdly enough, this is actually in the long run, not much is going to change, other than tiny studios will have much worse years than they were expecting to, because in the solace of people not being able to go to the cinemas, they've took solace in all the streaming services. So Netflix, Amazon are going to be fine. Disney Plus just launched in the UK, so like there's more eyes on that product than ever before. Loads of companies are doing not. We haven't had a major release yet on VOD. I'm sure it's going to come. People keep talking that it's going to be Mulan. I'd be shocked if it was. But in the long run, not a lot is going to change because there are so many films that have been in post production for a long time that are ready to be released. So unless this virus lasts for a considerable length of time, and I mean like proper government mandated lockdowns for like 6 or 7 months, that's when we'll start to see an effect in terms of not a lot of content being released. But over the next 6 months, we're not going to see that much of a dip. Yeah, the box office numbers are going to drop off, and that will look bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as people are going to say it's going to be.
Yeah, like, well, was it one benefit too? Is like Onward. It's going to be out like next week, or actually this weekend, I think.
Yep,
Yeah,
loads of films are getting really, really early releases on VOD.
Yeah, and this is like I know Sam and I talked about this on the phone. Was like the entire entertainment industry and the economy in general is going to be changed by this event. Like, while the event itself is really not. This isn't the first time we've had a pandemic, but this is going to be the first time in a long time where it's going to change basically the approach to everything. So, like,
well, I don't think change is sort of. It is the correct word. I prefer fast forward because it was an inevitability that we were going to focus more on the digital side and the streaming side based on you could just see the trajectory happening. This is just a forced sped up of the process. Mm-hmm. You know, if games hadn't been bought overwhelmingly more in the digital market in the past 3 or 4 years, this would have seen that number spike and then stay there. And I think that's going to be the same for the film industry. Mm-hmm. And then again, for the smaller genres, especially for horror movies have been living in the digital space for the past 6 or 7 years. You know, and this is my time to give a shout out to the outstanding service Shudder. Like this, I wish I was paid by Shudder to advertise this stuff. They are basically a horror only streaming service, and they are just the best at it. Mm. Yeah, if you like horror films, you have to get Shudder, especially in times like these.
Ooh, sounds like fun. All right, so I know Sam talked about this a little bit earlier, not to force the conversation change, but this has been something very interesting, and I'm basically bringing this up just to kind of rub it in someone else's face, but I'm not going to say what it's about. Sam kind of mentioned it earlier, where at the start of a console generation, we talk about marketing and messaging, where they need to be the same across the board. And sometimes your messaging can be confusing. Sometimes it's hard to understand about what's going on necessarily. One of the critiques, I will say, I'm not going to say it's a good critique, but I'll say it's a critique, was whenever the Xbox Series X was announced, was that Series X, the name is confusing. People aren't going to understand what that means. People are going to go to the store and say, I want the new Xbox. And it's like, do you want an Xbox One X or Xbox Series X? I don't know. Let me buy whatever. But this is one of those opportunities, again, where now we actually had a situation where things can be confusing, but this is one of the reasons why we wait. Like last week, we didn't have a show. We didn't talk about how the fact that the PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility thing was confusing because we waited for clarification. because I mean that's all we were really going to talk about that week anyway. Because we didn't know what the situation was, at least in terms of what was going to happen with the backwards compatibility. Where is it just 100 games are going to be available at launch, or is it only the PlayStation 4 games? We need to know the details. Well, we do have details now, and they did clarify. But this is a thing. This is why marketing and messaging need to be on point. You need to and have that down pat beforehand, and it can happen to anybody in terms of how it messes up. So that's my little spiel on that.
Well said. Well said.
Also, talking about kicking things while they're down, who actually played Bleeding Edge?
I did.
I played the beta. I haven't gotten a chance to play the game since it came out.
I have not gotten a chance to play it yet. No.
What is it?
Yeah, that's what I figured. Real quick for the group here, Bleeding Edge is Ninja Theory's game. It's how do I describe it best? I say maybe imagine it more like a Borderlands aesthetic, but like a melee version of Overwatch.
Have you played it?
Yeah, I have played it. I played most of the beta, and I played one match when it came out. Pretty good with Buttercup. We'll go with that. But I'm trying. That's the best way I can describe it to someone who doesn't know what it is. Anyone else got a better description?
Why'd you only play one match?
Doom. That's pretty much it. Doom. It's like, oh, this is fun. All right, I'm gonna play Doom instead.
It wasn't good. It's not fun to me. It feels like a bare bones Smite. That's the best I can put it.
Yeah, as someone who's got like 100 days in Smite, it's like someone at the of Smite and went, here you go.
Yeah. Parry system is not great. I could go really into detail about it, which I plan to do, but it's just not a fun game.
Mm-hmm. How do I put it this way? In the beta time, service games where Destiny 2 launched and it was missing a lot of key content, the Division launch was missing a lot of key content, and we've had lists upon lists of games that have launched and missed key content. This should
Anthem.
That still doesn't have anything. And a whole list of games that have screwed this up. It blows my mind that you can launch a game with a handful of maps, a mediocre character roster, and be like, yeah, this is fine because it's a half-price game. No. If this was free to play, I'd be fine, but it's not. It's a $30 game.
Yeah. I just don't care about it anymore, I guess. I mean, Doom, like I said before, Doom was the main reason why I stopped playing, but I'm also just not interested right now. I'm just really not. Like, I mean, I thought it was okay when I played it in the beta. The beta itself, I didn't notice any changes from the beta to the main game. Did anything else get done? Did anyone notice anything, Sam?
Yeah, they changed the balance of a couple of the tanks a fair bit. Yeah. Is the main thing I noticed. They also increased the hoverboard speed. They're going to be adding Meko in the next couple of weeks, and there is another map right now. Those are the main changes I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice anything, and I guess I was wrong because that was one of the things I mentioned. Is I think, oh yeah, I should change the hoverboard speed, and I don't think that didn't feel like a big enough change for the speed of it, but I don't know.
But let's just say, like, I was playing it with a couple on launch day, and all of us kind of collectively said this feels like Lawbreakers in the worst way possible.
Okay. As somebody I'm probably the only person on here, maybe Ivan, it might be one. I truly enjoyed so much about Lawbreakers.
Same. We played together.
No, I love Lawbreakers. I mean that. I mean it in a popular nosedive.
Like,
did. Lawbreakers was a hell of a better fleshed out
Lawbreakers
game.
was the type of game that like just speaks to me as somebody who grew up playing games like Quake and stuff like that. That fast paced stuff like that, I really, really enjoyed that. To say that Bleeding Edge is like Lawbreakers, and it depends. I guess it depends on what kind of like aspect you're saying it in. Like as far as like like it's out and then it's like grand opening, grand closing type thing. I would agree with you on that, but like, I don't know. Lawbreakers was just a great game, and Bleeding Edge just when I played that beta, like I played it with Fame and Demi, I knew right from the beginning. I was like, this game is not gonna last. Like it's maybe a couple weeks, and it's gonna be just completely forgot about. So yeah, I guess in that retrospect, it could be like Lawbreakers.
Well, I think the thing too is like I think this is the most terrible time for them to have launched this. They could have taken some time, put some more maps in, added a few more characters, and then launched this not 4 days after Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing, and 1 day after Half-Life Alyx. Like there is no mind share for this game at all. And with Resident Evil 3 this Friday, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake the week after, nobody cares about this game right now.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about it, Luca? Did you get a chance to play?
I have zero interest in Bleeding Edge, and that's all I can really say about it. Like, yeah, I don't have any feelings about it, honestly. I mean, there's not much to say. It's just a game that they did. I have been hearing some people say the same thing though. Like if they don't make some changes, it's going to be it's going to die. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I will say the one thing I do like about the game is I think the character designs are excellent. Like honestly, it didn't feel just like cringy or anything. It felt like, wow, this is actually a pretty cool character design. I see the utility in this person's design, but I also see the style, and I get I get the gameplay style from the character designs pretty quickly, and they're good to look at. I like that.
Yeah, the design's cool, and it's even worth mentioning, like, the actual, like, combat animation is insanely well done, which should be no surprise because it's Ninja Theory. But unfortunately, outside of that, it's hard to find anything that's really... It doesn't really do anything different that other games don't do better. I think it's the biggest problem. If this game had come out a few years ago, I think it would be okay, but there's just so much competition in this market, it's hard for a game like Bleeding Edge to thrive. Like, the only reason the game even has a player base is because it's on Game Pass, being realistic. Like, I don't know anyone that actually went out and dropped the $30 on this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, nowadays with Game Pass, I don't know anybody who's actually bought a Game Pass game. At least not intentionally.
I do.
Who?
Me.
You?
Me.
You?
Yes, me.
Who?
Oh God.
All right. I know we normally, our show's normally like 45 minutes to an hour. I know we're pushing it here. So you just do quick, a little bit of anything else we want to talk about before we start to an outro to get people out of here?
Really, really quickly, go watch Castlevania on Netflix. It's amazing. I finally got Nick to start watching it, and Nick is loving it. So if I can convince him of that, I can convince anyone of anything. Frankly, go watch it, especially if you're
until further notice. Until further notice.
Okay.
Piggybacking on that, Community just came back onto US Netflix. Watch Community; it's awesome. Not enough people watched it.
All right.
That is all.
Okay. Start doing outros here. Let's start off. Go down the list here. Demigod, where can people find you, sir? In the grave. He's dead.
Somebody doesn't want to be found.
This man is doing his best Fame impressions. He's run off the toilet in the middle of the podcast.
Just when you thought it was safe Fame. All right. Brandon, sir, where can people find you?
Halo to the King on Twitter, Halo to the King on Xbox and The Amazing Napkin on PlayStation.
All right, and James?
What?
My bad, hold on.
I mean, thank you. Like,
You just got avenged.
I mean, oh yeah, that famous internet thing, avenging. Yeah. All right. That's not even my actual entrance music. Crazy. All right. The good and bad people can find me on the tweets at James_S Wilson and Instagram. Don't know why you would follow me there. James with 2 S's and Wilson with 2 L's. Yeah. Come and talk to me about the Radiohead professional wrestling. It's WrestleMania next week. That's going to be weird with no crowd, and they've already pre-taped it. Who knows what's going to happen? The Undertaker called AJ Styles a jackass on Monday Night on Raw this evening. So, yeah, it's a weird time, man. It's a weird time.
All right, Mike?
All right, guys. You can catch me on Twitter at The Truth of Mike P. Xbox, PlayStation, wherever, pretty much everywhere else at Mike P. The Truth. And also on the Lords of Gaming at lordsofgaming.net.
All right, Sam?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. Come read what I write on Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore.
All right, and Luca?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. You guys can find me on Twitter at the Ashen Luca.
And Nick?
People can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. You can find everything I write over at lordsofgaming.net. And don't forget to support that only. Gotta pay my...
All right. And Demigod, you still there? Nope, he's dead. All right, so thank you guys for tuning into the Multiverse Show. The greatest show on Mondays. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And Fame, get better, dude. We'll see you next week, hopefully. So, all right, and we are out of here.